How much does a 20-year shadow weigh before it finally crushes the man standing beneath it? Have you ever wondered if the person smiling beside you is merely waiting for the perfect moment to bury you? I have. For 2 decades, I lived in the shadow of a man I called my brother, never realizing that his light was fueled by my own oxygen. That morning, as the sun struggled to pierce the gray city fog, my charcoal gray suit felt heavier than it ever had. I stood before the mirror, adjusting my thin-rimmed glasses with steady fingers, looking at my short, neatly combed hair. I am a man of order, a man who wears a charcoal gray suit because it represents the logic I bring to the world. But across the city, blonde Eric was likely admiring himself in his luxury navy blue suit, his ocean blue eyes reflecting nothing but his own ambition. He didn't know that the shadow was about to shift. He didn't know that the man in the charcoal gray suit had finally stopped breathing for him. The boardroom was a cathedral of corporate greed, centered around a large wooden table that felt like an altar for sacrifice. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city was a silhouette of steel, mirroring the coldness in my heart. I sat in my charcoal gray suit, my thin-rimmed glasses reflecting the glow of the digital displays. In front of me was the marketing strategy I had bled 4 months of data and sleepless nights. Blonde Eric sat directly across from me, looking every bit the prince he believed himself to be. His perfectly combed blonde hair shone under the lights, and his luxury navy blue suit was pressed to perfection. He checked his gold watch with a flourish, the light dancing onto the polished surface of the large wooden table. I was ready to claim my future when blonde Eric stood up. With a smile that didn't reach his ocean blue eyes, he began to present my work as his own. He stole my life in a navy blue suit, his gold watch ticking away the seconds of my silence. I watched him from behind my thin-rimmed glasses, my hands flat on the large wooden table. Every word was a betrayal. Mr. Hawthorne, the CEO, leaned in, mesmerized by the charisma of the man in the navy blue suit. Blonde Eric used his hands to emphasize points he didn't understand, his gold watch flashing like a beacon of his supposed brilliance. When he finished, the room erupted. They didn't see the man in the charcoal gray suit sitting in the shadows. Eric walked over, leaning down to whisper in my ear. The sleeve of his luxury navy blue suit brushed against my charcoal gray jacket. "In this game, the quiet ones are just stepping stones," he whispered, his ocean blue eyes cold and mocking. He checked his gold watch again, counting the moments until his official promotion. I sat still, my short, neat hair undisturbed, my thin-rimmed glasses masking the calculated fury within me. The days that followed were a masterclass in deception. I wore my charcoal gray suit every morning, a uniform of a broken man, while blonde Eric paraded around in his luxury navy blue suit. He left his phone unlocked on the large wooden table. He left his computer open, believing I was too defeated to look. But behind my thin-rimmed glasses, I was dissecting his life. I spent my nights in the office, the charcoal gray jacket draped over my chair, my short, neat hair illuminated by the monitor. I wasn't looking for proof of the stolen sun. I was looking for the darkness he had tried to bury years ago. And then, in a folder, hidden within a folder, I found it, the 2018 accident report. A hit. Blonde Eric, in a drunken panic, had fled the scene of a tragedy. He had used his family's money to buy a navy blue wall of silence, but he had left a trail for someone in a charcoal gray suit to find. I found the victim, Clara, in a small house, far from the glass towers. She was sitting in a wheelchair, her legs covered by a modest cardigan, her eyes reflecting a pain no money could heal. The contrast was a physical blow. Clara in her wheelchair, and blonde Eric in his luxury navy blue suit in an office that smelled of expensive cologne. Standing there in my charcoal gray suit, my thin-rimmed glasses blurring from emotion, I listened to her story. She told me about the flash of a car, the sound of a blonde-haired man's engine racing away, and the 3 years she had spent trapped in that wheelchair. Eric had paid for her medical bills, but also for her silence. I looked at Clara and promised her that the man in the navy blue suit was about to lose everything. The preparation was a delicate dance of digital shadows. I worked with Arthur, a lawyer who understood ruin. Every day, I saw blonde Eric at the large wooden table, his gold watch a constant reminder of the time he thought he had left. He would adjust his luxury navy blue suit, his ocean blue eyes scanning the room for his next victim. He had no idea that the man in the charcoal gray suit was uploading the end of his career into the HR database. Primerasta, yet latte. My short, neat hair my thin-rimmed glasses heavy on my face, ensuring the evidence of his hit and run was linked to his mandatory disclosure. He had checked the box, marked no criminal history. He had signed his name with a gold pen, not knowing it was his death warrant. The morning of the promotion felt like the air before a lightning strike. I adjusted my charcoal gray suit, making sure every line was sharp. In the lobby, Jessica, Eric's wife, was already there. Her blonde hair was styled in a sharp bob, and her pearl necklace sat heavy against her black luxury dress. She only saw people as rungs on a ladder, her eyes fixed on the elevator that would take her husband to the top. Blonde Eric stood beside her, his gold watch sparkling, his luxury navy blue suit looking like a suit of armor. He gave me a patronizing smile, his ocean blue eyes filled with pity. "Some of us are born to lead," he said, his hand resting on Jessica's shoulder near her pearl necklace. I just nodded, my thin-rimmed glasses hiding the fact that the ladder they were climbing was made of paper. We entered the boardroom and took our places around the large wooden table. The atmosphere was celebratory. Blonde Eric stood at the center, his blonde hair caught in the sun, his luxury navy blue suit radiating power. He spoke of integrity, his gold watch catching the light as he gestured toward the board. But then, Hawthorne's tablet chimed. I had set the file to auto-reveal during the final confirmation. I sat in my charcoal gray suit, watching the color drain from Hawthorne's face as he scrolled through the copies of the hush money checks. The weight in the room shifted instantly. The man in the navy blue suit continued to speak, but no one was listening anymore. Eric, Hawthorne's voice, was like a gavel hitting stone. "Explain this." He turned the tablet toward the large wooden table. The images of Clara's wrecked car and the settlement agreement filled the screen. Blonde Eric's charismatic smile vanished, replaced by a mask of sheer terror. He gripped the edge of the large wooden table, his gold watch clattering against the wood. His ocean blue eyes darted to me. "Sir, that was a private matter," he stammered, his navy blue suit suddenly looking too big for him. Hawthorne stood up, his chair screeching. "You lied on a federal disclosure, Eric. You fled a felony scene. You are done." I stood up slowly, my charcoal gray suit straight and true. I walked to the edge of the large wooden table and looked him in the eye. "The shadow is gone, Eric," I said, my voice barely a whisper. Blonde Eric lunged at me, his blonde hair falling over his forehead. But the security guards were already there. They grabbed the sleeves of his luxury navy blue suit, dragging him away from the life he had stolen. The gold watch he loved caught on the edge of the table before he was pulled out of the room. His screams of it was mine. Fading down the hallway, in the lobby, Jessica was still waiting, her pearl necklace reflecting the lights. When she saw the guards dragging her husband, she didn't move. She saw the disheveled navy blue suit, the sweat on his blonde brow, and she knew. She looked at him with a coldness that surpassed my own. Blonde Eric reached for her, pleading, but Jessica, with the pearl necklace, simply turned her back. She smoothed her black luxury dress, adjusted her pearls, and walked out the glass doors, leaving the man she had loved to the police. For her, a man without a title didn't exist. I walked out of the glass tower into the pouring rain. I turned up the collar of my charcoal gray suit and let the water wash over my thin-rimmed glasses. Across town, I knew Clara was receiving a call, telling her that the man who had put her in a wheelchair was finally in handcuffs. I looked at my reflection in a puddle. The short, neat hair, the charcoal gray suit, the calm eyes behind the glasses. The shadow was finally gone. Blonde Eric and his navy blue lies were a memory, buried under the weight of the truth. I started to walk, my steps light. The 20-year shadow had been heavy, but the freedom was worth every second of the wait. I adjusted my thin-rimmed glasses, smiled at the gray sky, and walked into a world where I finally belonged to myself. What would you do if you were in this situation? Let's talk in the comments.